Well, we're in the middle of November and the tomatoes have just about gone downhill. The first cold snap has hit and everything is starting to wither up and die, so it's time to harvest what's left, even if it's green. And it's really important that you try to keep the stems on your tomatoes when you're trying to let them harvest up like this. You can bring them indoors and they will ripen up. I've got some that I put in the house about a week ago that were all green, and now they're very, very red and ready to go. But if you leave the tomatoes on the plant, when the frosts start hitting the plant, then the tomatoes themselves will be damaged by the frost, and that's not too nice. So go ahead and gather up all the last of the little tomatoes. These are just some that I have up on some pots up on the deck here, but I'm going to go through the garden as well. And these green tomatoes will actually last for quite a few weeks if you leave them, like I said, attached to the stems. So it's getting that time of year. You've got to harvest what you've got left. Grin and bear it. Tomatoes are just about gone. You know, the same goes for the last bit of the basil. You can see I had a couple of basil plants here and frost hit that one, so that one's pretty much shot. But this one's still okay. I'm going to break that off and shake off any of the loose leaves and take it in. I've got to eat it within a couple of days, but if I leave it out here and the frost hits again tonight, this will look like that. So pay attention to your plants and harvest as you can. There's a lot of things that are tolerating the frost quite well. So if they don't look like they're being targeted by the frost and you don't think that they're going to be taken out, then go ahead and let them be. So I'm over at the Las Cumbres vegetable gardens and I'm taking a look at what they've got left on the tomatoes out here. And there's actually quite a bit that should be harvested right now. And if you look very closely, you can see that a lot of these beautiful tomatoes have already split and cracked and opened up because of the water and the rain. Some of them are starting to get eaten by the birds. Some of them are going to rot down here. That's really a shame. And if you look at all these green tomatoes in here, if you harvest them now, and like I said before, leave the stems intact, they're going to last for quite a while indoors. Some of these tomatoes are actually starting to go bad when you see them start to discolor like that. You can still eat them like that. They start to lose their flavor. The cold is really, really hard on the tomatoes. And unfortunately, a lot of people just kind of give up at this time of year. They say, okay, that's it. That's the end of the season. I'm not going to, just let them all go back into the ground. And I can imagine that a lot of this will go unharvested. And it's really kind of a shame because you can prolong it. And some of these tomatoes, if you pick them green, will take, like I said, somewhere up to 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a month to turn red. And would you look at these beauties down here? They're already starting to split and crack. All of those need to be harvested. There's so much food out here that sadly is going to waste. We got to save it. And here's the prime example of what happens when the cold hits, but there's still some good ones in here. There's nothing wrong with that tomato. And all these green ones are starting to discolor, but if you bring them indoors now, they're going to last a while. If it gets cold tonight, all these tomatoes are going to go bad. Now, the end of the season certainly does not mean it's time to stop